Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast with Marley Bird. I'm your host, Marley Bird. You can catch the Yarn Thing podcast live most Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock in the Midwest. If you are anywhere else in the world and would like to join us live for the broadcast, please Google what time 10 o'clock Mountain Time is for you. I do live in Denver, Colorado, and you can come and join the fun. Better yet, right here on YouTube, click the subscribe button and click that little bell right next to it, and that will let you know whenever I go live right here on YouTube, so you won't have to miss anything that I do over here on YouTube. It's pretty convenient that way. So I have some wonderful sponsors here on the podcast, and I want to give them a shout out before we jump in with today's guest. Let's say thank you to Creative Bug, where I go and do a Facebook Live once a month, every month in San Francisco. And the next one is May 22nd. So you won't want to miss that. That is over on Creative Bug's Facebook page. And they do Facebook Lives every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. So you should check those out. I'm also sponsored by Craftsy.com, Stitches.events, Aaron Lane Bags, Buffalo Wool Company, and last but certainly not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. You can learn more about my sponsors and get a direct link to each one of them by visiting marleybird.com, clicking on the podcast menu, and you'll see where the sponsors are listed. If you get a chance, please go by and tell them thank you for sponsoring your favorite podcast. So after doing this podcast for 11 years, yes, that's right, 11 years I've been doing this podcast. It hasn't always been a video podcast. It was audio for the first 10 years. It's rare that I have new guests that come on the show that I've never even met before and just completely brand new, but I love it. It's so exciting for me. It's like really getting to know somebody on a first date, and I love it. And what's really funny to me is not only do I feel like I get to meet this person on a first date, but it's sort of like this blind date where you've heard everything about her from her husband, because I'm actually friends with her husband, who is good friends with Ron and Teresa from Buffalo Wool Company and David and Lindsay from Aaron Lane Bags. And so I feel like I know a lot about Amanda in this weird roundabout way, but I've never actually talked to her. And today that is going to change. We're going to talk to who I have dubbed in my own head as the Clay Whisperer. And we're going to find out how she got into this crazy world of knitting and crochet and pottery in general. So without further ado, let's welcome Amanda Pawley to the podcast. Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hello. Hey, it's great to finally meet you.
I know. It's weird that we have to do this like this, but I know that you are always busy there in the studio, and Daniel's the one that travels to the shows and shows all your items. So that's how I get to know him.
Yes. No, it's been crazy. We've been doing pottery for like 15 years now. And just in the past few years, we've both been able to be full time at doing the shows. So he's been doing more of the sales while I get to stay home and do the production side, which is what I really enjoy.
I love it. So you have a wonderful slight accent there. Can I ask where you're from?
I'm from Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
awesome.
And we live in Kentucky right now, so it's not too far away. Yes.
Not too far at all. So pardon me, I'm going to make some major assumptions here. So for me, I live in Colorado, and we're very outdoorsy and very this, that, and the other. And not that you're not in Tennessee and Kentucky, but like for me growing up, it was like, oh, in Tennessee and Kentucky, they do a lot of quilting and knitting and crocheting and crafting and stuff. Is that true? Is that kind of how you grew up?
Yes, there is a strong tradition of crafts. Well, I grew up in a rural area, so I think sometimes there is more of a tradition of crafts there. My grandmother made quilts, and I grew up cross-stitching and doing a little bit of sewing, not so much knitting, but that's how I got into art, was making functional things and drawing and painting and sculpting. And then there, especially in Eastern Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky, there's such a strong tradition of crafts that we're even very supported by the state. Like there's the Kentucky Crafted program, which will holds training courses and business courses for artists, because there are so many artists here and there's so many resources here.
That makes me so jealous. I always wanted to move to the east, the south area, because I wanted that, because I don't know, but it's no doubt, because now I mean, that's the life I live, right? But I
Mhm.
loved all of these crafts and fiber stuff. And so to hear you say that you started with cross stitching and such, there's so many of us that started that way, but
Mhm.
a lot of your items are geared towards knitters and crocheters. So take me down this path of being an
Yeah.
artist in fiber world and then into pottery. Like, tell me your story.
So the way I got into the knitting industry was, I started making pottery in college, and that's when I fell in love with it. I started making it on my own, and at one of our local festivals here, my local yarn shop saw me, and they wanted to carry my mugs in their shop because they had a tea room in their shop. And then they asked me if I could make something called a yarn bowl. And I thought, oh, well, it's a bowl. Sure, I can make that. What is it? What do you need? And so they showed me what they wanted, and I made these for them, and they sold like crazy. And so, as I was going to different art shows to sell my bakeware and such, I would call the local yarn shop and show them yarn bowls. And and I had like a 99% sales rate on these yarn bowls. So I slowly found different shows to go to, and I found the knitting industry at the TNNA, the National Needle Arts Association, and I started wholesaling these in 2010, and that changed my life. Getting into the knitting industry with the yarn bowls, not even mugs, just yarn bowls. And after that, I think it was 2 years after that that I was able to go full time with by making pottery as my full time job, and I've been doing it ever since. And like I said, in 2016, we brought Daniel in full time as well. So it was being part of the knitting industry. Besides just being a life changing experience, it's so wonderful to be part of an industry that appreciates handmade things.
Right.
Because, going, and I'm sure we've all experienced it, nobody knows what goes into something unless you've made it yourself or had the experience of making it. So it's nice to not have someone not balk at the price of something handmade,
Yeah.
or, say, oh, well, I could make that myself, or I could, go get that at Walmart.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to be working, like I said, with a group of people that appreciate handmade things, and that, appreciate the work that goes into it, and wants to use it.
I love that. Now, you briefly mentioned there that you brought Daniel on in 2016, and
Mhm.
so I'm going to ask, because my husband has jokingly mentioned that he wants to work with me, and first off, I was like, we can't afford it. We need your health care. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
side note, right? I was like, just a little bit of problem, but other than that, like being a husband-wife team, how do you find that? Has it impacted your business? I mean, you don't have to go totally into your personal life or anything, but like, has it been like, was it a bonus? Were you afraid of it, or like, tell me that.
Well, yeah, no, even like when I was going full time and then bringing him on too, I mean, that is such a huge step because, like you say, you're getting rid of healthcare and like a pension or a 401k. You're getting rid of all of that, and you're getting rid of
Security.
a stable income. And so
Yes.
it was very scary and very stressful, but it was time to take that jump. We had to make a change somewhere, and I'd rather hire Daniel than hire somebody else.
Yeah.
And we've made it work. And sometimes it may be that I do send him to shows. I send him away for a week, and so we don't kill each other.
Uh-huh.
But no, it's been great. We work great together. We're a good team. So it's
That's fantastic.
yeah, and we complement one another because I do a lot of the production. He helps with the glazing, and he's the salesman. And so we work towards our strengths. We don't try to
That's
step on
awesome.
each other's toes.
Now, does he have any history in crafts and stuff? Like, I'm just curious. Like, was he just like, I'm gonna come in and I'll just do this, or like, I'm just trying
Well,
to.
we both were art majors, so he has a graphic
Okay.
design degree. So that's how we
Ah.
met in art school. So we both have creative. We both are creative. We both have creative backgrounds, but his is more on the technical side, more with
Okay.
computers, which is
Okay.
how he runs the Twitch stream, and
Okay.
which we do, and does the website and all that work. But yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So like I say, he has things in the studio that he wants to do and that he can do better than me. And so
Love
like I
it.
said, we try to play to our strengths.
I love that. I think it's great. So that's a perfect segue to Twitch, because so my kids, I have a almost 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Mhm.
And my 12-year-old, I mean, he was ecstatic when I started a YouTube channel. He was like, "This is the best thing ever." I'm telling all my friends, and the fact that I have a studio, like, he geeks out on it.
Yeah.
And so it's been several years now, but it was probably 2 years ago that he came downstairs. He said, "Mom, there's this new thing called Twitch. You got to get on Twitch. Everything's Twitch." And I'm like, "What is Twitch?" And he goes, "Mom, it's this gaming site. It's like a YouTube, and it's better than YouTube, and people just watch you, blah, blah." Like, he was going on and on. And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Babe, I just don't think people want to sit and watch me knit or crochet on TV. Like, I just don't think that's something they want to do. Mom, you got to do Twitch, got to do Twitch. So then fast forward like a year later or so, Lindsay, my friend Lindsay, you know Lindsay.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, hey, I heard about this Twitch thing. I got to do this Twitch thing. I'm like, how did you hear about Twitch? She goes, well, Amanda Pawley's doing Twitch. We got to do Twitch. And I'm like, what is it? What's going on with this Twitch? Why is everybody talking about Twitch? So let's kind of fill this in, because my kids think you're awesome. They're like, she knows what Twitch is.
Yes.
So,
and I will say the same thing you said. That was what I told Daniel when he told me about Twitch. He streamed video games on Twitch for a while, and this was in 2015. And he told me, let's take the setup to the studio. I bet, there's a creative channel on Twitch. It's not all video games. So in the creative section, he's like, we should do this. Let's set up something, because I bet it would be really good with you throwing, because there's nobody doing pottery on Twitch. I'm like, I said the exact same thing. I said, nobody's going to want to watch me. This, whatever. I'll try it. And we'll do a light test, and we'll make a few videos, and that'll be it. And like the first day I was on here, he had everything set up, and like I had like 75 follows the first day that, on my light test. And so, which was more than some people get in a year, while streaming. So he was ecstatic, and I was like, I still didn't know what I was doing. So we've been streaming for 2.5 years now. So he handles the technical side of it. And I say he does all the hard work, and I sit here and throw and do whatever I'm doing in the studio anyway. And I just, have company in the studio now, instead of it being just me and the cats.
I love it. And Twitch, just for people who don't know, it is an Amazon-owned company now, and the membership is included free with your Amazon Prime. So I know that there are many people out there who are big Amazon lovers. And so if you're just thinking, I don't know if I have Twitch, chances are you probably already have it. I don't spend nearly as much time on Twitch as I know my kids do. I will watch Lindsay do various things, just because I think it's interesting when she's playing with her fabric design and whatnot. But here you are. We all do live in kind of this solitary sort of island world, what we crafted. And now, as you said, you have this connection to the outside world. Do you Twitch like the whole time you're in the studio? Is that kind of how it works for you? It's like, all right, let's turn on the cameras.
Yeah, well, we have different stations set up, because I work in different places, because I'm not, I'm never in front of a computer. So I'm sitting here at my wheel now. And so when I'm throwing, I'm here, and we have a station set up in the back of the studio when I'm glazing. So when I need to do something that's just more assembling, I set up a table here and work here. So it really depends on what I'm doing for the day.
I love that. I love that. So the next thing I want to do, I mean, I know that you mentioned that you would do a demonstration for us here on air, which would be great. But I also want to make sure that we're showing people kind of a close-up of what it is that you do bake. So which do you want to do first? Which is better for you?
As far as like doing what?
Like, do you have a mug there with you, or your yarn bowls? Like, let's show people specifically.
We have both things that we're going to be giving away. So here is one of my mugs. And both of these items, wait, no, that's the wrong camera.
Yeah, there you go.
Both of these items start with 1 pound of clay. So I could probably make both of these today. So here's one of my mugs. And this is a mug that will hold 20 ounces. So they're a pretty good size mug. And then this is one of the small yarn bowls that is about 4 inches wide.
I love the way so that's done. How are the colors and stuff done? Like, I know nothing about pottery, and so this is so different for me.
What I will be demoing today will be the very first part of the process. So this is throwing the form on the wheel. So I will be throwing the mug body, and then once the mug dries out a little bit, I will apply the handle and apply whatever graphics that I need. Once those dry out, they will go through the first firing, which goes up to around 1900 degrees. That puts the clay through a chemical change so that it's no longer water soluble. So then I can glaze it without it, disintegrating or breaking apart. After it's fired once, I put the glaze on here and then fire them again up to 2200 degrees. And that's what melts the glaze, because it makes it shiny. And then fully vitrifies the clay so that it's food, dishwasher, microwave, and oven safe.
Wow. All right, cool. Let's watch. I can't see your what is it? Is it a wheel? What's it called?
It's the wheel. We're actually going to change the camera angle.
Okay. All right, go for it, girlfriend. This is so fun. I'm so excited about this. People, just while you're doing that, I'll just mention some of the comments. People are saying hi from Texas. People are saying they've never been on Twitch before. People are thrilled about this. People love the mug. They think it's absolutely fantastic. And they're excited to watch you do this. So, and then Carla says hello from DFW.
Hey, Yeah, welcome everybody. So I've got 1 pound of clay here.
So you get your hands on. So I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you probably hear this all the time where people talk about the ghost scene
Oh
from the movie.
yes.
I mean, that's all I ever think about. So like, I'm imagining the music and Patrick Swayze's gonna walk up behind you sometime.
Oh yeah. We get a lot of references to that. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm going to center the clay. This is 1 pound of clay, and to make anything on the wheel, you have to have the clay centered, or else it's going to be all wobbly.
Okay.
So center the clay. This is a sponge, poor little ratty sponge that has seen a lot of love. I'm going to add some water. I think I'm going to make a little bowl first
Okay.
because I've been out of the studio for almost a week because we just went to the Maryland Sheep and Fiber this weekend.
Yes, where I
So
heard you were demonstrating there too.
we actually did not demonstrate there because we were worried about the rain.
Oh, okay.
But it ended up not raining very much, a very light rain, but we didn't want to take the chance.
So you just keep adding water, and so your fingers are forming this then.
Yes, so I'm not really pinching the clay, but I'm stretching it. So I'm pushing from the outside with my middle finger and then pulling the clay up. So stretching it out a little bit.
So is the wheel itself, is it electric or are you pumping
It
it
is an
sort of?
electric wheel. No, it's an
Okay.
electric wheel. It's like I've got it's like a car foot pedal under my
Okay.
right foot.
Like on a sewing machine?
Yeah,
Oh, this is so cool. So the water itself helps you so it doesn't dry out, so it can
right.
stretch
The
more.
water lubricates the clay, so my hands don't stick to it. If I start feeling friction, then the clay is going to stick to my hands, and then it'll start wobbling, or it'll fall
Okay.
apart altogether.
Okay.
And then I've got this kind of the height that I wanted. I'm going to stretch this out into a bowl shape,
Okay.
and for that, I'm going to support the outside with like a plastic rib here. Let me trim a little bit off the bottom,
Oh, this
and
is the
then
coolest thing.
I'm just pushing putting a little bit of pressure on the inside to stretch out the clay, and then
Okay.
giving it some shape with this rib. And that kind of supports the shape, lets me control it a little bit, and compresses that wall so it'll be stronger and not collapse. And then we've got
How do you make sure that I mean, I guess it's just from practice and stuff that the thickness is consistent.
that comes with practice and testing. I mean, I start off with the same amount of clay each time when I'm going to start making something. This is 1 pound of clay,
Uh-huh.
and so I kind of know how thick the walls are going to be. And if I get them too thin, it's going to collapse. So
Okay.
it comes with practice, knowing how much to stretch it out. I
This
think
is
I've
so
lost
cool.
one of my
Now,
tools.
I was told at one point in time that you were taught by a master. Is that the truth?
Well, yes. I worked with someone in Orlando, Florida. So right after we graduated from college and got married, we moved to Florida, and that's where I met another full-time potter who were let me work in his studio. Like when you graduate from school and you're used to having all this equipment to work with, once you get out, it's hard to find that. This stuff is not cheap, a wheel and a kiln and all that. So I was looking for a community center to kind of keep my hands in clay. And I met this other artist, and I really kind of think he was joking when he said, "Yeah, you can come work with me. I need some help, and you can use my extra wheel and my kiln." And I think he was joking, but I took him up on it, and I showed up and I worked for him, and he kind of took me under his wing, taught me more about the business side of being an artist, and helped me improve my production skills. And I worked with him for 2 years, and then when we moved back up here and got my own studio set up.
This is so cool. This is like seriously, it's like the neatest thing. I love that Daniel's in the chat and he's telling everybody, okay, you just so you know, Twitch is free
Yeah.
to watch without an Amazon. Okay, Twitch is free to watch without Amazon Prime. Prime just includes some paid bonuses. There you go, guys.
Yes.
Let's see, what type of clay do you use? Is the next question.
So I'm using a porcelain clay body here. So I actually get all of my supplies not too far away from me. I'm in Southern Kentucky. I get everything from Mid South Ceramic Supply, which is down in Nashville, Tennessee. I use their clay. This is a Cone 6 porcelain clay body, so it's a mid-fire clay, but it's what I make most everything out of. So it's fire's white, and it's very very smooth and very soft to work with. Some clays can be grittier and kind of harder on your hands, or they can be darker or lighter. You can get clay in almost any color now, but this is a white clay body, and so that's what I use. Yeah.
I love it. It's so cool. So now that you took somebody up on, their generosity to help you kind of guide you along the way, have you ever thought about being a mentor to somebody else?
Oh yes, I've thought about it, and I've actually reached out to my local university as far as like setting up a work study program to have someone come out here and learn about this side of being an artist. Because in college, they are teaching you to be teachers or to go. There's all different ways to be an artist and to make money as an artist. You can go into galleries, you can teach. There's so many different ways. But I've reached out to let them know that if someone wants to learn more about the more retail side of it, then or production potter side, then I'd be willing to take somebody on. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love this. My daughter is in ceramics right now, and she keeps coming home with various things. Like she made a square cup,
Oh
and
yeah.
she made a square cup with a handle, and she colored it green and did some things so it kind of looked like Yoda I don't know, in her abstract little world. And I was like, that's really cool. Like I would have totally been into that. Like I just didn't take anything. I took wood shop or workshop or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But this is like seriously, it's one of the neatest things that you've done. So now you've made this bowl. So what's the process that you would go through now? Do you cut it at this point for the yarn part?
Not right now. Right now it's super soft, and I could, if I poked it, it would fall over. So I wait until it dries out a little bit. So maybe I'll do this today, maybe tonight or early tomorrow. It will dry up enough to be the consistency of a hard cheese or of leather, so that I can hold it and still cut into it or still alter it a little bit. And at that point, I'll cut the yarn bowl hook in it. And then after
Okay.
that, just let it dry, and then clean up the edges and put it in the kiln.
So how do you get it off your wheel at this point if it's still
So
so wet?
well, here we go. It's like I have in here I have a
By the way, I want to say
tile.
thank you, Daniel, for doing all of the switching work. That's awesome.
Yeah, here we go. So here I have this tile in here. So I throw on these little tiles so that I don't have to
Oh,
physically pick things up and move them around. So this I will set this on a table, let it dry a little bit, and then use a wire. Let me put this back in here because I have my wire right here. So I have a wire with some handles that I would cut it off with. So just cut it off like that.
it makes me think of like a garrote wire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if you're,
really. No,
yeah.
that's what it is. And then this. I mean, it's so thin right now, but
Uh-huh.
then you pick it up, like
Oh my gosh,
separate it off
that
like
is the
that. Yeah.
coolest thing. Oh, can you do it? Do you have time to do another one?
Oh yeah, yeah. And since I don't really have anywhere to put this, I'm gonna squish it
Oh,
and
that's
make
even
something else.
cooler.
So
Yeah, that's like
so so
so
so here we go.
gratifying.
There we go.
That's so cool. I love
Yeah.
it.
And then start over again. So I'll try to make a mug this time.
All right, so what did you just do? You just cleaned the bowl or the wheel?
Yeah, so there was a little bit of clay left here from where I cut the other bowl off, and I'll say this, clay is it's a very not renewable resource, but it's very I can reuse it, I can
Okay.
recycle it. So
Okay.
that I just set that back in my bucket of water. I can use that clay later, so it's not trash. I can all of my scraps get recycled and made into something else the next day.
Okay. Super cool.
And so here is my 1 pound of clay, compressing it on the wheel to make sure it sticks, and then we're going to center it again.
Now,
And
how do
as I'm
you know it's
centering,
centered? How can you
you
tell?
can feel it. It's actually more of feeling it than seeing it. And I'm centering by like kind of squeezing the clay with the back sides of my hands, and then
Okay.
compressing it back down, because I've learned that's the best way to center that's the least damaging on your wrists. I
Okay.
know a lot of knitters or anybody with that does things with their hands. You got to worry about carpal tunnel
Yeah.
and hand injuries. So I try to be conscious of that. So we've got it centered. Gonna add some water, and it's all gonna start off the same way. We open the clay, make the base. Now this one's gonna be a mug. Make the base, leave it about a 1/4 inch thick, and then I'm gonna grab the clay with my first 2 fingers here, pinch it, kind of lift it up into a volcano shape. And then when I was making a bowl, I just kind of raised the clay and stretched it out. This one I
Yeah.
need to keep more in a cylinder shape because we're making this tall and thin.
Oh, this is the coolest thing. So while you're doing that, somebody is asking, does it cost anything to be a creator on Twitch?
It does not. Twitch is completely free. You have to have the streaming software. So
Okay.
yeah, it is completely free to stream.
Okay.
I am a partnered streamer, so what that means is that people can subscribe to my channel and that I get ad revenue
Okay, perfect.
when I stream.
So that's good for people to know. If you want to watch her on Twitch, please do subscribe to her channel so that way she makes any sort of ad revenue. Another question is so Josie is saying, doesn't that also work out any air bubbles? And I don't know what that means.
The air bubbles, you could probably find a few air bubbles when you're centering, but the air bubbles need to be removed before you get started. So what some people do is wedge the clay, which is kind of like kneading bread, but you
Okay.
wedge the clay to get the air bubbles out. I have a pug mill that with an air compressor on it that gets the air bubbles out for me, so that because if you have an air bubble in the clay and you're throwing it, especially thin like this, if you have an air bubble in there, it's just going to rip a hole in the side of your piece. So it just causes problems.
Okay.
And I wanted to say about Twitch, as far as subscribing to the channel, like you talked about Amazon Prime earlier, anybody with an Amazon Prime account has one free Twitch subscription every month that you can use on anybody.
All right, perfect.
And then I've got my, super duper high tech measuring stick here. That,
hey, you know what? Whatever works.
Yeah. And then I'm going to give this some shape. I want to make sure it was tall enough. And then again, just putting a slight bit of pressure on the inside to stretch out the mug and give it some shape.
So I'm curious, did you make all of your own dining ware and stuff?
You know what? People ask me that all the time. I don't. I think if people were to look at my house and judge me by my pottery making skills, they would think I was the worst potter ever, because the one pieces I have at home are the glaze tests or the wonky pieces or the cracked pieces that I just didn't have the heart to throw away.
Yeah.
And so that's what my cupboard is filled with, like ugly mugs and wonky bowls.
I thought you were going to say you'd have a bunch of Corel, because that's what I have. Yeah. I'm not knocking Corel. Please don't think that.
Oh,
I love
I've got
it.
that too.
That's awesome.
So this is a mug body. So this one, what I'll do is I'll let this dry out, kind of like the yarn bowl, let it dry, and then put a handle on it. And then, since what I'd mostly do is take custom orders, I'll see what I need to put on the side of the mug, whether it be a graphic or a phrase or text. And then after I get everything assembled, then let it dry out.
That is so cool.
And then it goes into the kiln.
That is so cool. So maybe that should be the next question, is regarding like the graphics or the phrase and the text and such. I know that you do work with different companies and put together, whether it's their logo or different phrases. Brittany's been telling me I need to get a Marley Bird one, and I'm like, I don't know. But how? I guess this is going to be a two-part question. One is, how do you go about finding the different phrases and stuff that you guys use? Because some of them are really great. I love the, may the force be with you, and you have like the mathematical formation for force. And then two, if somebody wanted to have a custom-made one, how would they go about contacting you to have that done?
Well, the answer to that's kind of the same thing, is because I take custom orders on the website. I do on my website, and then I have a website called stitchdiva.com. That also takes custom orders. And so I get a lot of my ideas from other people. So I get custom orders for things, and if it's something I like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take that and and use that again. So I get a lot of my ideas from customers, whether it be wholesale customers or retail customers. And some of them we make up ourselves. And I think with a lot of the nerdy mugs, it's more of things that we are into, like the Star Wars and Star Trek and Outlander and Lord of the Rings and stuff. So it's a lot of fun to do the mashups with the knitting and nerdy mashups.
Yeah, definitely.
Loves.
Definitely. So do you find any time to have any sort of a craft or hobby outside of pottery nowadays?
Not really. I do pottery and I read. So I read a lot or listen to audiobooks while I'm working sometimes.
Girl, preach. So, me too. I love them.
That's about all I have time to do right now. But I've turned my hobby into my career, and I enjoy it. Sometimes when people try to do that, they end up hating their hobby, and it's not fun anymore. But I've been able to juggle, both. Like, I still enjoy doing it, and I just love being able to make things. Not necessarily doesn't really matter what I make. Like, I enjoy throwing on the wheel and just that process, and I still do, even after all this time.
I love it. Somebody is commenting that they have Outlander and lots of different hearts. Have you listened to my podcast I did with Diana Gabaldon?
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, you have to go listen to it. So it was right before, so it was right after they actually found Sam Heughan as Jamie, and they were still looking for the Claire actress.
Yeah.
And so I had her on the show. It's make sure you've read all the books first off, because it's major spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to go listen to it. It's good. Like it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. It's a long podcast, but it's good. It's not video, it's all audio. So you totally need to go listen to it. It's awesome.
Yes.
I'm sorry, total side note, but it's like, you know what? That's like the height of my podcast career was being able to interview her, and it's still it still resonates. It's just good. Anyways.
Oh no, because I've actually got to give her a yarn bowl, because I know she did. So that's why I geek out about it too. I'm a total fangirl. Yeah.
Right? She's awesome. She's so great. So one of the questions that I saw is, you're making these things, and I know that, I mean, obviously we know that things can get posted and whatnot in general, because we can, but how do you go about, if somebody were to order one of these online, how can they ensure that it's going to get to them safely and not messed up?
Oh, well, you know, I'm sorry, I just poked my mug here and collapsed it. But so once everything is out, I mean, I ship all over the world, and I have very little breakage. So the answer to that, I guess, is a lot of bubble wrap and a lot of cushioning, because we jokingly say that when I ship mostly air, because you get this bigger box than you would expect for a mug. That's because it's wrapped really well, and so that it won't move or jostle around. So So I can get it anywhere pretty safely. You know, if the truck runs over it, there's nothing I can do. But yeah, we ship and have very little breakage. So
I noticed behind you there's a very large, it almost looks like a platter of some sort. Like, so it leads me to the question, like, what are some of the largest things that you've done? So it looks like your wheel, as I'm looking at your wheel right now, it looks really small. Like, how can you make bigger items?
Well, first off, I mean, the wheel can center, it can spin up to 100 pounds. It's pretty strong. And then on the wheel itself, I can take the splash pan off and put a wider wheel head on here, a wider bat. So if I wanted to make larger things, I could do that. I could spread out and make larger things. Also, I can make things that aren't on the wheel at all. I can hand build or like make a large slab and just make bigger things that way. And put it into a mold or set it into something else to form the shape.
Awesome. I love this. I'm going to ask you some of the questions that people are saying. It says, Sarah Dawn is saying, yes, when I got my mug, I was wondering what the box was. It was mostly air, but the mug got to Canada just fine.
Yeah.
And Suzanne Selby, I think it's fabulous that pottery can be undone as quickly as frogging and knitting or ribbing out in crochet. Clay and yarn have something special in common. And then people are saying they want Marley's Minion mugs, and then we have Outlander, and people are so geeked out watching you do this. And then there's people saying that watching you throw pottery is awesome and relaxing. So do you get that a lot?
I hear that a lot.
Really relaxing.
Yeah, what I say to that is like, yes, it's relaxing to watch. It's kind of like watching somebody spin yarn, spin fibers. But it's also relaxing for me to do. And when I sit down to make something, like if I need to throw mugs, I'm going to throw mugs all day. So I can get into a rhythm and it's very easy to lose track of time as you get into the repetitive motion of it all.
Yeah. I mean, there's something really gratifying about watching you take this blob and make it into something like just the stretching out motion. I love that. Like I was like,
and so much of pottery is hurry up and wait. You know, you make it and then you got to let it dry and assemble it and let it dry and then put it in the kiln it takes like 3 days for a full firing. It takes like 8 to 9 hours to reach temperature and then another 24 hours to cool down. So there's a lot of waiting, and the process is at least 2 weeks to get anything done. So you don't know what the final product's going to be. It may mess up at any stage. There's so many possibilities for failure, you know, at any stage. Right. But throwing is the most satisfying because, like you say, you get to see something go from nothing into something in just a minute or two.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So how many items can you throw in a day?
My record is 150
Whoa.
in one day. Yeah, and so that's kind of working all day long and having help preparing things.
Wow, that's a lot. Allison Mercenkavich, hi Allison. She's asking, ask her to show you her large yarn bowl. Do you have a large, big Bertha?
We sold it at this last show. We don't have
Oh.
one.
Oh, they
But
sold it.
But you can see pictures of it, I think, on our Facebook page.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Suzanne is saying people can check out the Great Pottery Throwdown for a fun pottery challenge. It's available on YouTube. Great British Bake Off, but with clay. I think you should do that, Amanda.
Yes, no, we've done that, and we've had our own little like Great Pottery Throwdown in here. Like we've got if you go to Twitch and watch some of our past broadcasts, one of them is me having a blindfolded throwing stream. So we did that one day, and it was a lot of fun. And it's actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. You know, I thought I would just be messing everything up, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you can still watch that on some of our past broadcasts on Twitch.
Wow. That is so cool. That is so cool. All right. So it's about the time in the show that we give away prizes. I'm pulling up my little list here. While I'm doing that, I'll let you kind of take a deep breath, take a drink if you need a drink or anything. So everybody knows, if you've been watching the Yarn Thing podcast or listening for a while, we are blessed enough to have guests on the show that give away prizes. Usually people will give away a prize to somebody who's listening live on air. So if you're listening live on air right now, get ready. You have a chance to win your very own Pawley Studios mug. And what I need you to do is, in the comment section of this video, I need you to put, I want to win. And then you have to smash the like button of this video, and hopefully you will hit subscribe to this channel. So I want to win, smash the like button, and subscribe. Those three things will get you for a chance to win your very own Pawley Studios mug. We will randomly select a winner here in just a little bit. So go ahead, start filling up that chat room, and let people know that you want to win. If you are not listening live, don't worry. There's always a chance for you to win as well. After the show, you can go over to the show notes. The link is provided in the video description of this podcast. So if you click on the drop-down menu, either below this video on your desktop, or the little caret symbol, the upside down like triangle symbol on your mobile, you'll see that that is where the video description is located. There is a direct link to the show notes for this podcast. In there, you'll find a link to Pawley Studios' website, any sort of other information you might be looking for. And at the bottom of that post, you'll see where it says to leave a reply or leave a comment. What you will do is literally leave a reply or leave a comment about this podcast that includes a keyword that Amanda will give us here in a minute. Once you've included your keyword in that comment, you are entered for a chance to win your very own mini yarn bowl. That was the first thing that Amanda showed us today when she was throwing on her wheel, is that little 4-inch wide mini yarn bowl. So you have a chance to win that. So if you're watching live, you have a chance to win a mug. If you are going to leave a comment on the show notes after the show, you're getting a chance to win a mini yarn bowl. Now, if you're watching live, of course, you can leave a comment on the show notes as well. That doesn't mean like you have one or the other. You can do both. But I do want to remind you that the show notes are over on marleybird.com. Whenever you're in doubt, if you go to marleybird.com, click on the drop-down menu for the blog, you'll see where it says show notes, and find the show notes for whatever podcast you are looking for or you have watched, and leave your comment there. The show notes, that is the only place we go to randomly select a winner from the comments. We love your comments here on YouTube, on Facebook, in the Marley's Minions group, on Instagram, on Ravelry. However, for us to be able to randomly select a winner, we do those in the comments on marleybird.com. Super simple. The live winner will be announced here live on the air in about 3, 4, 5 minutes. But the winner from the comments is selected about 6 to 8 weeks after the original air date of this podcast. There's a couple reasons for that. One is we know that we all have lives and we don't get a chance to watch these shows immediately as they're aired. So I want you to have a chance to watch, at your leisure. Some of you binge watch these shows, and some of you like to watch them every week on a certain day, a certain time. I don't judge. I don't care. If you're watching me, great. I'm glad you're here. The other reason is because my travel schedule is so consistently inconsistent that there are some Tuesdays that I can't do a podcast and other Tuesdays that I can. So I'm not able to keep a consistent time frame of when things go live. So having said that, you just kind of have to tune in and just check out every show. The other thing is, when we do randomly select a winner, we announce it on a show. So for example, we had the lovely Heatherly Walker and Allison from the Unobtainables book on the podcast in February. So this is a long time ago, in February. Great little book. It was nice because they came to Stitches West, and they actually put their book in my booth at Stitches West and sold a couple there. It was really good. But they are giving away a copy of their book, Unobtainables, Fake Elements, Real Knits. So cool. And the comment winner is Joyce Hancock. Joyce Hancock. The keyword was comic book, and her comment was, very interesting book. My favorite comic book would be Batman. So congratulations, Joyce. Just by leaving that simple comment, you have won your very own copy of Unobtainables. If you are not Joyce and you still want your copy of Unobtainables, please check out the Amazon link to the book and purchase the book through there, and I get a little kickback at no extra cost to you just to pick up that book. Super easy. So those of you who are wondering what the keyword is from Amanda, let's ask her. Amanda, what is the keyword they should use on the show notes for your show?
How about paw print?
Paw print. I love that. Then you're going to have to explain it. Paw print.
Well, as you can see, we have cats in the studio. This is a Kiba, our studio cat. We call him the inspector, quality inspector. And on the bottom of every mug, there is a paw print stamp.
Oh, how cute is that?
Because we are Pawley Studios, and we spell our name Pawley, and we have, our logo has a little paw print in it. So we put a paw print on everything and call it, Kiba's stamp of approval.
I love it. I love that you have kitty cats. I think that's so great. So paw print, you guys, use that in your comment for a chance to win over on the show notes. Again, that link is in the video description of this video, or if you just go to marleybird.com, click on the show notes drop down menu blog show notes, and you'll find the show notes for today's show. All right, everybody, let's ask good old Brittany to randomly select a winner. And I feel like I need a drum roll of some sort. And Brittany has selected Yvonne Miller. Yvonne Miller, you are the lucky winner. I'm going to write this on here so that I can, let's see, Yvonne Miller, there you go. You are the winner. All right, so Yvonne Miller, this is how easy it is. All you need to do is send me an email, winner@yarnthingpodcast.com, winner@yarnthingpodcast.com, with your mailing address and phone number and anything else that they need, Amanda?
An email.
And so we'll get that when they send the email for sure.
Email address and phone number. That's it.
All right, and so once you send all that to me, you will get your very own Pawley Studios mug, and I'm so excited for you. So congratulations. And for everybody else, don't worry, there's still a chance for you to win simply by going to the show notes. Make sure you use the keyword paw print in your comment on the show notes for today's show, and you'll randomly, or you'll be entered for a chance to randomly, how do I say this? You'll be entered for a chance to win. We will randomly select a winner. How many times have I said that in the last 11 years? So make sure you do that. And for everybody else who just can't wait, what is your website? Where can they purchase your stuff? What are some shows that you'll be going to?
So our website is pawleystudios.com. And you can order anything through the website, and everything can be fully customized. So if you want names or graphics on anything on the website, you can find us there. You can also on our website find out which of your local yarn shops will carry our pieces. And the next show we are going to is going to be the Kentucky Sheep and Fiber Festival in Lexington, Kentucky. And then this fall we're going to be at Stitches Midwest in Chicago, as well as up in Rhinebeck.
You're going to go to Rhinebeck too? That's so cool. I love that. So the next place I'll see you then is Stitches Midwest, which will be fun. Are you gonna be there, or is just Daniel? I should say just Daniel.
We don't know yet, so it has yet to be decided.
Very cool. That's so cool. This has just been one of the most fascinating podcasts. This is just so relaxing, and I think that I need to definitely go subscribe to your Twitch channel. I'll let my son know. He needs to subscribe. He actually already knows. He thinks you're so cool. He's like, she knows, Mom. But this is fascinating. Other than I know you have a Facebook group, right?
Yes. Well, we have our Facebook page and Instagram.
Okay. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and then your website, and then all the other places people can find you just about anywhere.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. For Christmas, is there a certain time frame that people, and I mean, guys, I know, I understand it's May, but as people start thinking about Christmas gifts, when is it that there might be a cutoff for you of, hey, this is the last date that you can order to get this in time?
usually put out a bunch of notifications on Facebook and Instagram and on our website. It's usually around mid-November is when I cut off custom orders or orders that are guaranteed delivery by Christmas.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
because everything is handmade, so it takes a little bit of time to get out and to be shipped out.
Right. But I mean, that's very smart. I know, I mean, again, I know it's May, you guys, but you've got to think ahead of this stuff because as cool as this is, you want to make sure that you have time to get something really awesome. This is great. Amanda, I had such a great time with you on the podcast today. Thank you so much. And I do hope that we get to spend more time together.
Yes. Yeah. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. This is so awesome. Okay. So thank you everybody for watching the Yarn Thing podcast with Marley Bird. Once again, let's say thank you to our sponsors, Creative Bug, Craftsy.com, Buffalo Wool Company, Stitches.events, Erin Lane Bags, and last but certainly not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. Don't forget, you can get more information about Pawley Studios over on the show notes, which are available at marleybird.com. And while you're there, check out some more information about Chic Sheep and the new patterns that we recently released today for the next collection of Chic Sheep with Marley Bird. All right, guys, that's it for us today. Talk to you soon. Bye.